Hi everyone and welcome to Smart Alex Coaching. We offer mathematics tutoring for primary and high school students, both online and face-to-face. In this video, we're going to be looking at how to add and subtract proper fractions. We've got two parts to this, and in part one, we're going to be concentrating on like and related fractions. What are like and unlike fractions? Fractions with the same denominators are called like fractions. For example, 1/6, 3/6, and 5/6. All these fractions have got the same denominator of 6, hence we call these fractions like fractions. Fractions with different denominators are called unlike fractions. As an example, a quarter, 1/6, and 5/12. These fractions have got different denominators of 4, 6, and 12, so we call these unlike fractions. Let's consider what happens when we add like fractions. In this example, we're going to look at 3/6 plus 1/6. The fraction of 3/6 can be represented using a bar that's divided into 6 equal parts, and I'm going to be shading 3 parts out of the 6. The fraction of 1/6 can also be represented using a bar that's divided into 6 equal parts, and I'm going to be shading 1 part out of 6. If I was to add these two fractions together, what I'm going to get is I'm going to be able to fill in a bar that's divided into 6 equal parts, and I'm going to be able to fill in 4 of them. That's effectively the fraction 4/6. Therefore, 3/6 plus 1/6 is equivalent to 4/6. So when we add like fractions, all we need to do is simply add the numerators together whilst the denominator remains unchanged. Similarly, suppose I want to subtract like fractions, 3/6 take away 1/6. The fraction of 3/6 can be represented using a bar divided into 6 equal parts, with 3 parts being shaded. To take away 1/6, that's effectively taking away 1 bar, and what I'm going to be left with is I'm going to be left with a bar that's divided into 6 sections with only 2 parts shaded, the same as 2/6. So 3/6 take away 1/6 will give me 2/6. We can see that when we subtract like fractions, again we subtract the numerators only whilst the denominator remains unchanged. So to summarize, when we add or subtract like fractions, step 1, we add the numerators, and step 2, we keep the denominator the same. Let's look at some examples. Here I've got 2/8 plus 3/8. The denominators are the same, so all I need to do is add the numerator together. 2 plus 3 over 8, which will give me 5/8. 3/7 plus 1/7. Again, the numerators are the same. I'm going to add 3 and 1 together whilst keeping the denominator of 7. This is going to give me the answer 4/7. And in the last example, I've got 5/12, take away 1/12. Again, the denominators are the same. I simply take away the numerators and keeping the same denominator. This is going to give me an answer of 4/12, which can be further simplified by dividing top and bottom by 4, giving me a final answer of 1/3. Now we're now going to look at related and unrelated fractions. Related fractions are fractions where one denominator is a multiple of the other. For example, 1/6 and 2/3. We see that 6 is a multiple of 3. And 3/4 and 5/12, here 12 is a multiple of 4. Unrelated fractions have different denominators that are not multiples of each other. 3/4 and 2/3. 4 is not a multiple of 3, nor is 3 a multiple of 4. 5/8 and 1/5. 8 is not a multiple of 5, nor is 5 a multiple of 8. How do we add related fractions? Well, when we add fractions, what we need are the denominators to be the same. In example 1, I've got a quarter plus 5/12. So the first step for me is to determine the common denominator by finding the LCM. If I look at the multiples of 4, I've got 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, etc. The multiples of 12 are 12, 24, 36, etc. But I can see that 12 is my lowest common multiple, and I'm going to choose it as my common denominator as well. Once I choose 12 as my common denominator, the fraction of a quarter needs to be converted to its equivalent fraction. 4 times 3 is going to give me 12. 1 times 3 is going to give me 3. 5/12 already has 12 as the denominator, so it remains unchanged. We then add the two fractions and simplify. A quarter plus 5/12 simply becomes 3/12 plus 5/12. Since the denominators are the same, we simply add the numerators, 3 plus 5 together, giving us an answer 8/12, which can be simplified to 2/3. Looking at another example, here I'm adding 2/5 with 7/15. First step, we need to determine the common denominator by finding the LCM. Look at the multiples of 5. I've got 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, and that keeps going. The multiples of 15 are 15, 30, 45, and that keeps going. Okay. By observation, 15 is our lowest common multiple, which I will choose to be my common denominator. Once we determine that 15 is our common denominator, we then need to change 2/5 to the equivalent fraction. 5 times 3 is going to give me 15. I multiply 2 by 3 as well. This is going to give me 6. The fraction 7/15 remains unchanged since the denominator is already 15. We then add the two fractions and simplify. 2/5 plus 7/15 is equivalent to 6/15 plus 7/15. Since the denominators are the same, we simply add the numerators, 6 plus 7, which will give me 13/15. When we subtract related fractions, it's also the same strategy. We need to first determine the common denominators by finding the LCM. From the previous example, we determined that the LCM of 5 and 15 is 15. We then convert both fractions to its equivalent fraction, 3/15. 5 times 3 gives me 15. 3 times 3 will give me 9. 3/5 is equal to 9/15. 7/15 remains unchanged. We subtract the two fractions and then simplify. 3/5 take away 7/15 is equal to 9/15 take away 7/15, which reduces to 2/15. However, we can no longer simplify this, hence this is our final answer. In summary, to add or subtract related fractions, step 1, we need to determine the common denominator by finding the LCM. Then, after that, in our second step, we convert both fractions to its equivalent fractions with the common denominator as determined in step 1. And last step, step 3, we simply add or subtract the numerators. The denominator remains unchanged. Thank you for watching this video. If you like it, please share it and consider subscribing. And most of all, enjoy maths. See you in the next video.